Aloha, and welcome back to Vox Terra. And if you have not done so, please do subscribe to my channel and click that notification bell so you know when I'm putting up a new video. Today, I want to talk to you about those floods, those historic floods in 2021 that have ravaged Hawaii. But unlike other media outlets, or unlike most other media outlets, I'm going to break down the climate change connection for you. And for that, I'll cite for you from The Guardian News and also the 4th U.S. Climate Assessment. But I'm also going to take it a step further, and I'm going to dig into the history of capitalism in Hawaii and tie that in as well. So starting from The Guardian News, Hawaii, flood enforces evacuations as officials warn this is climate change. Now that's what should be headlines everywhere. Thursday, 11th of March, 2021. Heavy rains triggered flooding on multiple Hawaiian islands. The downpour is an example of more intense rainstorms that are occurring more frequently as the planet warms. Now, how does that work? As I explained, you got hotter air masses on the planet, and those air masses hold on to more moisture. We got hotter oceans, and those hotter oceans give up more moisture. Back to the article. The rainstorms this week first affected Maui, moved northward up the island chain to Oahu and Kauai, then circled around and hit the southernmost part of the Big Island. Now let's imagine ourselves at those islands if we're not living there. Honolulu firefighters rescued a 27-year-old man from his truck that was swept down a stream and suspended the search for another individual. Now, I put in that rescue effort because that brings to mind when I heard Bill McKibben in an interview say, if we don't get a better handle on this climate change situation, and even if we do get a better handle on it actually, this is still the direction things are headed in, all these cool professions we think we're training our youth for and this bright future for them, really what we're training them for, or what we should be training them for, is disaster response preparedness. Because that's the direction, that's the seeds we have laid for the future and the present. Meteorologists on Wednesday extended a flash flood watch for the entire state through Friday because of potential for more rain and because the ground was already saturated. So I put in that the ground was already saturated part because I want you to realize this is in addition to, with the more intense rainfalls due to climate change, also just as simple how preparing for climate change is a win-win, because if you prepare your cities and towns for climate change, you're going to be better prepared for absorbing the heavier waters. And ways to do that, you've got natural climate solutions like simply allowing for more wilderness and nature to exist to absorb some of that floodwater. Suzanne Kane, the head of the Department of Land and Natural Resources, said, "We have had a flood emergency because of the heavy rain bomb, and we're seeing these more and more across the island chain, more frequent and more extreme events. So again, statistically, these extreme events are increasing due to our heating planet. The warming climate is affecting rainfall patterns in the state," a 2010 report from the University of Hawaii Sea Grant College program. A statistic for you to put into that thinking cap. Rainfall declined 15% over the prior 20 years. Yet, the same report found between 1958 and 2007 that rain events with the heaviest downpours increased 12%. That's like I'm telling you, that hotter air mass, they're either going to retain more moisture and you're going to get heavier downpours, but you might still get less rain. Another statistic for you, Pao Shin Chu, a University of Hawaii professor, study suggests that for every 1 degree Celsius increase in sea surface temperatures, there is likely to be a 7% increase in atmospheric moisture. In 2018, Kauai set a national record for the amount of rain produced in a 24-hour period. Be prepared for more such events in the future, Chu said. Now, we could end there, but we're not. We're going to go next to the 4th U.S. National Climate Assessment, Chapter 27, Hawaii. Key Message 1, that's how they title this. Dependable, safe water supplies for Pacific Island communities. And ecosystems are threatened by rising temperatures, changing rainfall patterns, and sea level rise. Islands already experiencing saltwater contamination. due to sea level rise, which is expected to catastrophically impact food and water security, especially on low-lying atolls. So that's another aspect of sea level rise, which is already occurring, but you're also contaminating fresh water with seawater. Key message 4 from the U.S. Climate Assessment: fisheries and coral reefs. So what's happening here is the hotter oceans and the ocean acidification, which is another byproduct of the excessive burning of fossil fuels, a byproduct ocean acidification no one, by the way, is bothering to deny, is killing and bleaching the reefs. That destroys fish habitat and is lowering fishery productivity. It's also destroying ecosystems near the coasts. And according to the U.S. Climate Assessment, widespread coral reef bleaching and mortification have been occurring more frequently. And then the study, the assessment gives two scenarios. One where we keep on, as my grandmother would have said, our merry way, pumping the earth full of a lot of greenhouse gases, or one where we drastically cut. Either way, things will get worse, but one is much worse, and the other is not as worse. Now finally, I told you I'm going to tie this all back to the reckless elements of the business community, or capitalism's untold story that we in America and probably a lot of the world never really hear about. So first of all, we all are fairly aware, at least at some level, the fossil fuel industry or elements of it have been denying climate change for decades, spreading disinformation and helping to stall action. That's factor one. But another thing is, it's not even just the fossil fuel industry. This is reckless elements within every business community. So in the case of Hawaii in particular, there was a coup in the 1800s, little taught about in school, which overthrew the Hawaiian monarchy. And for that, I can give you a reference to NewsWeek. It's also in Smithsonian and other reputable sources, but just undertold, which displaced the Hawaiian monarchy. And it was done so on behalf of the fruit companies that were well established in Hawaii at the time. From NewsWeek: How Hawaii Lost Its Queen to the Fruit Tycoons of Dole by Kristin Hugo. In the 1880s, American sugar and pineapple companies grew tremendously on the islands, which at the time were subject to the rule of the native monarchy. The business people forced the then king to sign what was called the Bayonet Constitution, which was literally signed at gunpoint. This constitution reduced the role of the monarchy and limited who was allowed to vote in Hawaii. The idea was that this would give more power to those fruit companies, those multinational fruit companies. When the Queen took over, she wanted to do away with that constitution, and then the business community sponsored a coup. Sanford Dole led the coup with the help of the American government. His cousin, once removed James Dole, started the Hawaiian Pineapple Company, which is now Dole Food Company. American militia came to the island, threatening battle, and the Queen surrendered. After the coup succeeded, Sanford Dole was named president of the Republic of Hawaii. Hawaii later became a state, or was totally taken over by my country, the United States. But that's a bit of history we never learn about, how the government has worked with certain elements of the business community to take advantage of different populations and really harm Hawaii. But in this regard, we're looking at the whole planet being harmed through the excessive burning of fossil fuels. So I hope you found this tie-in interesting and helpful. How climate change is changing our climate here and now, setting us up for worse changes to come. And it's really the result of these reckless elements of the business community and their influence within our media and our government and then our thinking that have brought this situation on. So let's not look at these extreme weather events as random tragedy, but let's look at them in that light. Until next time, please make sure you're subscribed to my channel. You've clicked the notification bell. You are commenting, liking, and until next time, peace be with you.